live. Okay. This is scary. Okay, are you on it? Okay. Did you hear you? Dude, what is happening? Really? Okay. Yeah, your audio, everything is turned all the way up. All right. Give me stream settings. I don't know either, dude. How about now? Can you hear me? Still nothing? Yeah, I made it something else. Okay, now is it better? Okay. Oh my gosh, dude. I don't remove. Okay. Remove. Well, yeah, and like you can't even like practice it basically. Which is right, which is so weird. See, cuz oh, wait. Okay, talk. We have somebody in here. Can somebody hear? Can anybody hear him? You can't hear you? Dude, this is so freaking strange. How about now? Yeah, I can hear everything, dude. No, dude, what the heck? I'm looking on YouTube because I wanna. Nothing. There is. And Reddit isn't telling me shit. Maybe YouTube can tell me. If you go into your properties on your Mac. Whoa. I don't know, but let's see if it helped. I didn't do anything. I didn't touch anything. Is it? Oh, that's because it's coming through my headphones. Dude, okay, hold on. Just stay on this for a second so we can... Do you have time tonight? I'm not getting any metering from you. If you go to if you go to no, see, now it's saying that your audio source is coming from my microphone. Yeah. Oh, I got audio from you now. Talk. Yes. Check. I had to redo like your whole thing, so now I got to refit you on the screen. Check real quick. You can't? What? I'm getting it though. I'm getting it from you. Oh my God, dude, this is going to drive me nuts. This is going to drive me insane. Because now I for sure have it from you. How about now?
Can you hear me now? Ah, it sounds like shit,
But it's there?
but it's there.
Let's see. Hold on.
Yeah, it's working now. I think it's just my crappy. The
Yeah, you're
MacBook
on.
speakers are picking it up.
Okay, we got it at least. Okay,
Oh
we're
my
good.
god!
We got it. We
And
figured it
that's
out.
why everybody sucks. End of interview.
See, yeah, right. We did it all. We did it all. Okay, let me just real quick. Let me just
We
do the
need all
cropping real
800 of
quick.
those viewers back.
We need all of our 1,000 people that were listening.
That's right.
Okay.
There's two watching, but one of them's me.
Is it? I bet you the other one's Paulie.
Probably.
There was another dude that had like a funny name. Who was that? He probably came from you.
Oh, Barry McCockiner.
Yeah, that's so funny, dude. I'm watching Savan's podcast yesterday, and then he said that he was like Barry McCockiner. I was like, what? Did I hear that right?
What's funny is how there's like some of the names in there like that it's amazing how long it took for mostly him, but him and Sousa both like didn't get it what the names were. I'm like,
They didn't get the
you,
joke.
they didn't understand what it was.
Oh, no
They
way.
just thought it was somebody's name,
That's
and
so
then
funny.
didn't slow down and read it.
That
Yeah,
is too funny, dude.
there's somebody. Oh, the best, the best one in there is Sadie N-word.
Nah,
Oh yeah,
Sadie N-word.
so it's Sadie, and then I think the last name is like Enward.
Shut up.
Oh yeah, there's some doozies in there.
People are retarded, dude.
They're
That is
creative.
funny. They're very creative. Wow.
Very creative.
There's like all those videos now going viral about that shit, like people going to stores and making the like, what's it called?
Oh, the
The customer
announcements.
service and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
doing the announcements. I think that's so freaking funny, dude.
Yeah.
So funny. All
Get
right.
people super curious.
So check this out. I got a question for you since we just figured this out. I
Okay.
have I have clients at like 5:30. Do you want to try to squeeze this in till 5:15, or should we go live again later?
Squeeze it, because I know like other people are going live tonight, so
Okay, cool. All right,
it's all
Travie,
good.
let's do the thing where we let's go live on Instagram again real quick. You want to do that?
Thing. Do that thing.
Let's do that thing. Let's do the thing where we make posts again real quick on Instagram. I'm gonna go real quick on Instagram and just say, figured out the audio issues.
Everyone come back.
Come back. Come
Party.
back. Come back.
5:15 works good because I got a steak sitting on the counter ready to go.
Yeah, that's nice. All right, why don't you tell me? Let's start it out again. Why don't you tell me? Assume that I don't know anything about anything with the PFAA. What's the deal?
Okay.
What's happening with is it Castro? Dave Castro?
It's with Castro, yeah.
Yeah.
So PFAA is, they put out a list of demands yesterday that they want. From my understanding, is they want Castro removed as director of the games. I don't think it's like fire him from CrossFit, but his association with the games, they don't want anymore. So there's a lot of uproar on that.
Okay.
Like a lot of uproar.
And
some of it is like, what is the PFAA? What power do they have? Who are the members? Are they they're a group of some CrossFit people, but like, what gives them power when it comes to CrossFit, basically?
Right.
Nobody knows.
Okay.
Like, like a union has some power. People become a teacher, you join teachers union or whatever other unions there are, in different professions. And I don't know, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert at all as far as unions, but from my understanding is like the union kind of determines what the entire group is going to do. Now, how do they come to those decisions? I have no idea. Is it like a majority vote within the union? I don't know. Do you know anything about unions?
I don't know basically anything about unions. All I know is that my mom used to be like a liberal and she was super into unions.
Well, basically, like, isn't it usually like if a union says we're not working, no one can work?
Yeah,
like,
I think so. Like
whether you agree with the union, if you agree with the union or not, if you're part of the union, you're not working.
Yeah,
and I don't think that's the case with the PFAA. That's the thing. I don't understand how the PFAA works and what power they have.
Who's the ringleader of the PFAA?
They have a board of directors, apparently, which is Vellner, Fikowski. I think Pfaa Sagafi is part of it.
Okay.
Victoria Campos, and then there was a couple other names that I have no idea who they were. I don't know how they became board members, how any of that works.
Okay.
And what's not known too, like how many of the members agreed to what they're talking about.
Hold on, Travis. Paulina is saying we need to post again. Should we disconnect and connect real quick to make it happen? What do you think?
Oh, I think she's saying we just need to post that we're live.
Post that we're live. No, she said no. So I'm saying, okay.
Don't start over.
She's saying post again. All right, I'm gonna post again. Okay, so what exactly are the demands that they're making, and why do they think that they're able to make these demands? Like, what's interesting to me is that I feel like, and I don't know much, right? But I feel like CrossFit doesn't win no matter what. But I think that, I spent a lot of time arguing with Joe about this while we were at the CrossFit Games. But I think that one thing is for certain is that if CrossFit loses Dave Castro, CrossFit's like over.
Yeah,
I guess. But like, what I want to know is, why is that the case? Like, why do people say that?
I would say CrossFit's not over. CrossFit as it exists is over, in my opinion. I mean, like the diehards, Castro is the glue that's holding it together. He's like the only true OG CrossFit person that's still there. I think there's others that are still there but aren't the face of it anymore, and I think have possibly kind of lost touch with the OG group. And granted, I mean, there's a lot of people that aren't OGs that don't know who Dave is.
Right.
No clue. They don't care. They don't even know what's going on. But Dave's kind of the one that's held a lot of people held it together with CrossFit.
Okay.
My issue, like, I don't understand how people, and especially the PFAA, I think it's very weird their timing with this whole, we're putting out this list of demands when there's an investigation going on, and no one, they're basically everybody's just blaming Castro for what happened, and nobody knows what happened.
Yeah. So I guess this whole thing is kind of like, well, do the athletes know?
I think the athletes know because they were there.
Okay.
Like, they know what happened. My entire argument, and this is like one of the first times I've ever, I shouldn't say ever, but one of the few times I've put logic in front of emotion. It's a super emotional, and I get that.
Yeah.
I understand that people were there and someone died, and yeah, it's terrible. But you can't say somebody needs to get fired without knowing the facts of what safety protocols were required and were they followed. For all we know, they were.
Yeah.
And when people are getting mad at me for, I've been saying that, and people are getting mad, like somebody died and Dave's responsible. I was like, you don't, probably, yeah, he's responsible. However, did he follow every protocol that was required? Were they all in place? Were the right people there? Were they the right qualifications? And it frankly just wasn't enough. In hindsight, I think 99% of people are going to agree it wasn't enough. But you can't say fire that guy if he did follow the rules that were required or the laws. And it just happened to not be enough.
I guess I wonder too, like, are all of the decisions that have to do with this, like, is it all Dave Castro's call? You know, like the safety protocols and stuff, because even me, I'll be honest, like you were at the house. I was like screaming about it. Remember when we were at the games, I was like, somebody, and I still think this, like somebody needs to take accountability over it. And to be honest with you, I don't pay enough attention to know if anybody did take accountability over it or not, at least publicly. I know that there's tales of Dave Castro taking accountability with it, you know, with the athletes and whatever.
Yeah.
But like, so I still believe, yeah, somebody needs to take accountability for it. But do we even know if he's in charge of all the safety shit, or is Dave just the guy that just programs the workouts and they don't tell him anything from up here downstream? You know, that's the one thing that I wonder. So it's like, if, let's just say, what's that dude's name? Don Fall or whatever. If Don knows that there isn't enough of the safety protocols put in place for the programming to be safe enough, but he doesn't communicate that to Dave, it's not Dave's fault. And like you said, we don't know any of the details, or I'm just going to trust your word. If we don't know any of the details, then you can't call for Dave to like lose this job that he's had for however long.
Yep. I agree. And that, like I said, that's where it's one of the few times where I put emotion aside, and until you know the facts, you can't, it's another canceling. I don't like this person, so get them out. That's a lot of what feels like there's a lot of, well, in the past, we've asked for this and we haven't got it. We've wanted this and we haven't got it. Yet you still compete.
You know
you
what?
Can't fucking argue after the fact. Like, if you don't like it, don't compete.
Right.
You got to take a stance. And nobody seems to understand that on the athlete side.
What's interesting is, like, I feel like some of these athletes are just like really entitled, almost like spoiled brats. You know, just thinking that their opinion matters. And something that I've seen a lot, and we're about to release a podcast on Sunday where I just like go off about this, but something that I've noticed a lot during this time, especially within the CrossFit spaces, how much virtue signaling is happening over somebody's death, dude. Like, someone died, bro. And people are using it as an opportunity to show how much more virtuous and moral they are than other people, which is like, if you could talk about bottom feeders whatsoever, those are the epitome of bottom feeders. The people who take the opportunity to be like, I'm so much better than you because I side with this side of the person's death thing, the thing that happened when somebody died. It's like, I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts to this that like have really got me pissed off. And so, I guess to like kind of stay on topic with the PFAA, I pulled up, and I'm not going to do anything with the screen because I'm not going to mess up this live stream. But I pulled up the picture on my monitor because I kind of want to read this over and just like see. But it says the PFAA represents the interests of athletes competing in the CrossFit Games season. The sport is built on the principle that athletes do not know all of the details of the events they participate in, but we always assumed if something went wrong, they would save us. We were wrong. So one thing that I kind of have a problem with here is something that you just briefly brought up was, why do you keep competing? And so, you know, Jason Ansley in the podcast that we did with him, he brought up that if you actually want to make change in the CrossFit world, at 3, 2, 1, go, you better be ready to not move. And so if it's almost like acting like whores, right? Like if you actually like want change and want to make change, if you're serious about it, then even though money is on the line, you're just going to get everybody to like not move. But rather than that, they see somebody else move and they're like, oh shit, they're moving. I need to make movement because then I'm going to lose the opportunity for making money or whatever. So it's like all of these people, even Brent Fikowski, and you know what? Brent Fikowski competed that weekend.
Yep.
So if he felt so strongly about this, you know, why didn't he just shut it down right away?
That's what I said. Like, I understand it's a hard decision. And, you know, I would never want to be in their shoes.
No.
With what they were dealing with. But if you want to make a statement, all of you have to band together. Or the vast majority have to band together and say, we're not competing. We don't feel like you took care of us at all.
Yeah.
A group boycott at that event would have sent a huge message. Complaining about it afterwards doesn't.
Well, and I think that it's opportunists, right? Like they want to take advantage of the opportunity while it's still available. So like, dude, Brent almost won the weekend, dude. It came down to one event. He almost won the weekend. And so like they just took the opportunity to like win the cash prize or whatever it was. But now that he doesn't have that on the line, like I wonder how much of this would be different if Brent actually won. You know, and that could be me being like nihilist or like whatever, you know, just being like thinking wrongly about it. But like, I wonder how much of this would have changed if he would have won rather than he didn't win. And now he's going to complain about CrossFit and all this. And trust me, I definitely have my opinions on CrossFit. You know, my opinions on CrossFit. And, you know, I definitely have my opinions come from the outside looking in and like having conversations because most of the people that I surround myself with are not CrossFitters and they say a lot of things about CrossFit, you know? And so it seems so opportunist and like really weak and kind of disgusting because if you felt this way, you shouldn't have competed at all.
Yeah.
You know? It's like biting the hand that feeds you, you know?
Yeah. And I don't know what happened behind the scenes. Like, were they threatened if they didn't compete, this is going to happen? You know, if I know there's talk about people were checking with their sponsors. If your sponsor told you had to compete, they're an asshole. Fuck them, leave them.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty shitty.
I mean, that's messed up. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, it's an emotional time. It's not an easy decision to make by any means. And I hate to say it's a learning experience but it is until you know the facts about the safety protocols and were they followed or not. And I got accused yesterday of being somebody who, you know, I understand your love for Dave and you want to protect him. Well, I have no allegiance with Dave or CrossFit. I've buried him a few times, not buried him, but talk shit about him a few times. So I don't have any allegiance to either one of those. I don't want somebody getting, I mean, we saw it with Greg. We don't, cancel culture is bad. That's exactly what this is right now. And I've said if the investigation comes out that they skimped on the safety protocols, like they were told to do this and they didn't do it, they pulled back and only put 4 people in the water and they were supposed to have 20. Fucking gloves are off.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, especially if
But
you
to do it now is pretty messed up.
like if you know for certain that Dave is the reason that like
Yeah.
the thing happened, then yeah, it's like, well then yeah, obviously. But without the information, it's a pretty weird call, and it's like opportunist timing to be like, people are emotional, dude. So like right now, so many, and like this is an interesting thing. Like back when I didn't do CrossFit at all, we kind of, and I know that I've said this on, I think it was on the podcast with you actually, the first one that we did. We looked at CrossFitters kind of as like these rogue people that like weren't sensitive and weren't like cancel culture or whatever. And then the Greg Glassman thing happens and we're like, what the hell? These people are retarded. Like what is going on, And so like, it's weird to see this virus starting to infect CrossFitters. At least the CrossFit community, who claim to be like the hard-minded, tough people that like, we like, what is the thing that Greg always says, that it's about, there's some personal development line that he has about CrossFit. Paulina, if you're still in here, I know that you know it. There's a personal development. It's something about like extreme accountability and responsibility that Greg Glassman says is like one of the catchphrases of CrossFit. And it seems like the core of that has kind of been lost, especially here. Do you know what I'm talking about? I just started following that page, the CrossFit book. And I saw a clip of it. But whatever. I guess one of my biggest issues with this first point that they're making on here is that, dude, this is truly, at the end of the day, this comes down to like consenting adults. You know what I mean? And the fact that you're like saying like the CrossFit Games, the sport, is built on principle that the athletes do not know all of the details and that we would be saved or whatever. It's kind of like you're consenting to extreme conditions, right? So like even some of the workouts you can die from and you're not going to get saved, right? So like, what do you expect that every single thing, I agree that probably, they should have had more lifeguards or whatever, like, jet skis and stuff like they're talking about with WADA. Yep. Like, what do you think is going to happen if you drop a 400-pound barbell on your head? Do you think somebody's going to be able to run over there and grab it from you real quick while it's still suspended in the air? Like you're consenting to do really dangerous things. Yeah. It is what it is, and that's one of the points of contention that a lot of people outside of CrossFit have with CrossFit, is that it seems like a really dangerous sport.
I wouldn't even say it's dangerous. It's people putting themselves in extreme condition. One of the arguments that it keeps coming up with, we ask for these things, or we want these safety conditions, and we want safety for the athletes, and it's been ignored in the past. And one of them that comes up is Cara Saunders. Years ago, they did Murph in Carson, and she like blacked out at the end of it, like had to be carried off, put on a stretcher, rehydrated, IV, and all that. And they're saying that she wasn't in a safe condition. I'm like, people run marathons, they do triathlons, they do all these events in horrible conditions, and it's the Cara had to do. They were doing Murph on the turf, and it was super hot. And I'm like, fucking football players play every single weekend on 100+ degree turf in full pads. You can't. You can only do so much.
Yeah, but they're consenting to it. They know what they're getting themselves into. That's like the biggest issue, right? They know what they're getting themselves into. And then
I don't like that. I don't like the wording on that very first point that they said that PFAA represents the athletes. So you represent all the athletes?
Right. Yeah.
Like every single athlete that competed at the games is part of PFAA, because that's how you're wording it.
And they all agree with you on what you're doing.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Like, so your wording right off the bat is questionable.
Yeah, for sure.
Sevan did a really good job last night, like breaking down each point that they made.
Sevan has been pretty interesting, dude. He's been on it, like, freaking crazy, dude. And like, I will say there's a couple of things with Savan that I don't agree with on this, obviously, but I think that him and I are both really opinionated people in general.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's very strongly opinionated, and so am I. And like one thing that I don't agree with him on is that like he seems to be, actually I can't say this. Never mind. I'm not going to say it because I was just going to say that he seems to only side with CrossFit, but that's not true. He seems to side with CrossFit in the way that you should side with CrossFit. Wait until you get the information. So never mind. I retract completely.
And he's turned his view around because he was originally for having the games go, and then afterwards he's like, maybe we shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So he's on fire right now just because so many people are attacking Dave, and that's one of his best friends. So he's got his back.
I would have his back too, you know.
And he's said, kind of like I have in hindsight, there was more safety that needed to be put in place. Period. No one can argue that.
Yeah, and I guess that's if you're able to admit that, if people can admit that not all, like it clearly was. I mean, I don't know if it's like, I don't want to say it's gross negligence because I know that there's an actual like legal term for that. But like if you can at least admit that it's negligence in the sense that like there should have been more staff available for a situation like that. And maybe it shouldn't be volunteers. It should be professionals and I don't know if it was volunteers or not.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
So, but that's just me just saying if that's the case, then, you know, instead of volunteers, professionals, whatever. But like my whole thing is that, I think we can all agree that there wasn't enough like lifeguards and stuff to respond to a situation like that.
Yeah.
And telling that guy to like get away or turn around or turn out, you know, when he dove in to swim or whatever was probably not the best thing to do. But as long as we can like all admit that, I don't really see a reason to like keep beating a dead horse with the Dave thing, right?
See, I can't even argue the turning that guy away, because if you're a lifeguard or out on a paddleboard, there's a competition going on, there's 200, 300 people on shore yelling and screaming. Tia just came in. She crosses the finish line. It's loud. You know, the people are cheering for that. Then you got this group over that is yelling that somebody's possibly drowning. Go out on a paddleboard 25 yards and tell me you can understand a word they're saying.
Yeah.
Then you see some crazy fan jump in the water, which in today's culture, that shit happens. Not knowing what he's doing.
But I guess supposedly the dude said someone is drowning or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's too late.
Yeah.
Not to say my issue with the whole response is that they didn't shut as soon as they knew he was gone, it should have stopped.
Yeah. I agree.
There's no way. I mean, if he's in third place, I mean, he's basically at the finish line when Tia came in. I don't know how it could take until every athlete is done that, you know, he's not there when people saw him go under.
Yeah.
That right then and there, that event should have stopped.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
So
Jason says this is a number of athletes a number of lifeguards, boats, jet skis on the water, prepared to rescue issue. This is a number of, okay. So he's saying that there wasn't enough people, period. If heat, not distance, eyes on athletes. Yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And, you know, somebody at, you know, that we were with said like they think that maybe it could have been an issue of like the person was a fan and then was like, oh, Tia's finishing, and like turned her back. And right. I think that is like 100% a possibility of what went down that day. To be honest with you, I don't really want to talk about what happened that day. It gets me a little bit weird. Like I feel weird about people like posting videos and stuff about, you know, speculating what happened and whatever, because I feel like it's just like looking for clicks type thing. Let's go over number 2 of what these people said on this thing. Is that cool with you?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. The whole topic's been just beaten down.
Yeah. They say we demand an appropriate level of transparency between CrossFit and the PFA regarding their third-party investigation as to the death of Lazar Dukic and subsequent changes made to protect all athletes going forward. So I like the sentiment here, to be honest. I'm not going to lie, but it still comes down to like, who do they think they are?
Right.
to ask for this, right? Like if they had like if they were the union from CrossFit and they had like an agreement with CrossFit or something like that, I think that then it would be appropriate to do something like this. But this is wild. And this is one of the reasons that I say the virtue signaling and the entitlement factor from athletes. Because I think so the day of, I could agree with them saying that the lack of communication throughout the whole day, it was just absurd. I mean, even for people that were coming to spectate, I agree with that wholeheartedly, that they should have been communicating more throughout the day. Like even so much as to say like on Instagram, we are going to meet with athletes and come to a conclusion at, whatever. Like just giving
Right.
little updates. They don't have to tell you everything, but just giving updates because people flew from all over the world to go see it. And
Right.
we knew nothing. But to say something like this, that they demand that they keep them updated with the third party investigation, like, do you guys not realize that there's legalities here too? Like CrossFit definitely cannot share things with you, if anyone, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're not going to share anything until they are able to, and that isn't going to happen overnight.
Right. Yeah. That's crazy. Paulina
No,
also said, I know what quote you're talking about, but can't find it. Damn it, Paulina.
I thought you knew it all, Paulina.
I thought you were Gen Z, dude. Guess not.
And I agree. I want to know. Everybody wants to know the details, and I think do they owe it? No. I don't know how to word that.
I think it's like CrossFit doesn't owe it to the PFAA to be in conjunction with them.
No,
right?
I don't think the PFAA has any say in anything.
Right.
It's just this group of. So it's like the group of dudes that put their little club together in their treehouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just random people. Like, yeah.
That's what we know about it.
It's some rogue athletes that decided they wanted to create an organization.
Yeah.
And dude, to be fair too, I agree with a lot of what they're saying. Yeah. I just don't agree with how they're going about it.
It's how they're saying it.
Exactly. Like I don't agree with them demanding that demanding CrossFit does stuff for them. The third thing is we demand CrossFit create an independent safety team to liaise with the PFAA on an ongoing basis. What do you think about that?
I don't know what they need from a external safety team. I mean, I made this point yesterday and people were arguing with me about it and I'm not sure why. To me, you can't have, because the big thing with a lot of, and you saw it in the interviews with Dave that he did with the athletes, talking about workouts coming out ahead of time. And the vast majority of them don't want to know the workouts ahead of time. So if that's the case, you can't have the athlete association comprised of current athletes who want to know what the workouts are going to be so they can ensure the safety is in there. Because now you've got athletes that know the workouts ahead of other people.
Oh, dude, I didn't think about that.
So I don't know how much. The only way the PFAA is going to be happy is if they know the entire workout. So they can gauge the safety measurements that are in place. Mm-hmm. Well, you can't have active athletes then or coaches.
Yeah, that's a good point. In powerlifting, they have a drug testing like third-party system, but it's interesting because the only contact that the people get for the drug testing, like obviously powerlifting is a little bit different. It's always the same 3 lifts. You know what I mean? Like you can't, like you're always gonna know what the lifts are, but their drug testing system is put in such a way, at least for the USAPL, which is a governing body of powerlifting. It's one of the federations or the sanctions. All they do is they just tell you the week before what week you're getting drug tested.
Right.
So they tell you like, we are going to,
which is actually really funny. Yeah. They tell you a week before.
No. They tell you they tell you the week that they're going to come. They don't tell you what day or anything like that. You get what I'm saying?
usually like most of them, it's just 24-hour notice, isn't it?
Yeah. But the USAPL does it. This is why I like the USAPL a lot, because they tell you the week. So if you're somebody who needs to like titrate off drugs, or you're trying to cut the half-life of, some sort of drug, it's like you're going to mess up your training if you're actually on steroids and like all
Right.
this, so they tell you the week, they or even like a time frame. They'll be like, between August 15th and August 31st, we're going to show up. So you better be in town. And you better be in town, because if you're not in town, you get like cut, you get nixed from the Fed. So I feel like the same thing would have to kind of be implemented somehow with the PFAA if it has athletes that are still active, right? Like, hey, these are the things that we can tell you in terms of like, these are the environments that you're going to be in. And then, but then it kind of like gets rid of some of the woe of CrossFit, right? Because now
Right.
you even know the environments.
Yeah, it's the unknown and unknowable that's always been a part of CrossFit.
Yeah.
We're going to put you in something you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if they're going to have active members, do they say, all right, 1 week before the games, and it's like you've got 12 events that they have to prepare for and be ready for on the game side, that they have to have all this stuff in place. So how soon do we need to let the PFAA know so we can make sure they come back a week later with all these gripes that we got to try and fix? So is it a month ahead? Is it 2 weeks ahead, 3 weeks ahead that this would need to be communicated? And basically everybody's going to have to know what the workout is.
Yeah.
And is there an advantage to that? I don't know. At that point, probably not. I mean, if you want to go test it, test it.
I mean, yeah, I guess it would depend on like how soon before the actual games they tell you, right?
Yeah.
For the advantage.
So like the swim event, say the entire details of the swim event and the safety protocol was out there, and 2 days before the PFAA comes back and says, no, we need 30 people on paddleboards or jet skis in the water. Is that even feasible? Right. To put together on a X days notice? So it's stuff like that would be very difficult to figure out. And that's why I wish we knew like how any of this safety stuff gets put into place, who's in charge of it, and what is the minimum amount.
Yeah, I guess there's just so many, dude. There's just so many moving parts to CrossFit that it's so hard to like. It's so interesting that they even have these kinds of demands. Jason said PFAA put the cart before the horse, acting as they have collective bargaining agreement in place. They do not.
Yeah,
that's true.
Agreed.
Yeah. Finally, oh, dude, I see your comment. You got 27 replies.
Bro, my comments blew up this week.
Holy crap. Hiller got 141 replies.
Oh, yeah.
The third point is we demand that Dave Castro be removed from his position in the sport team. These demands reflect the immediate steps necessary to begin to restore athlete trust in CrossFit sport. The PFAA is also acutely aware that more must be done to change the culture and strategic direction of the sport to ensure its future, and that will take time. Sign the PFAA board, blah, 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 blah. Who cares about the athletes' names? Dude, it just sounds like a bunch of little kids just asking for shit that like they don't have any reasons for. They didn't like.
I think they
Jason's
could have
right.
reasons for it. Yeah, I mean, you can have reasons for it once you know that all Dave, in fact, skimped on something. Mm-hmm. Until then, you just got to sit back and deal with it. And I hate to be that way, but you got to go off of actual information and not your feelings.
My question is, why do they think that Dave needs to be gone in order to get trust back, though? So something
they're saying it's a repeat thing, that they've brought up concerns in the past over the years, and they haven't listened. So again, if 13 years of CrossFit Games, if they're consistently not listening to you, none of you stood up and said, I'm not going to compete. Really? And it's on a very small scale, but it's like I've told other people I didn't agree with the location of the vendor village and I didn't agree with the price hike. So I didn't participate.
Yeah.
The only way you're going to affect CrossFit is with money. If you just sit there and keep going with it and they're telling you, your worries, we're not worried about those. We're still having the games.
Yeah.
They're just going to keep doing it.
Well, dude, that was the thing that I brought up to Joe at the house that day. I said, dude, like there's all like I hear I'm gonna say you guys in terms of CrossFitters, right? I
You
hear it.
cross.
Yeah, you CrossFitters. I hear CrossFitters have so many complaints about CrossFit. Like it's just constant that there's complaints, but they still keep spending their dollars on CrossFit. And it's the same thing with, like even affiliation fees where I'm kind of like, dude, I just listened to Greg Glassman and Savan this morning, and Greg said somebody said that they feel like, the gyms basically aren't going to do as well if CrossFit itself crumbles. And basically, Greg had said, I don't think so. Just keep focusing on doing what you're doing, and that's going to continue the magic. And
Mm-hmm.
I 100% agree with that. Is that if you have, like, dude, in politics, how do you vote? You vote with your dollars, right? Like, if you want things to change, you vote with your dollars. So, like,
Yeah.
with CrossFit affiliates or anybody that has issues with CrossFit HQ, why do you keep spending your freaking money there, dude? Like,
Yeah.
why do you keep spending your money? And then with the athletes, too, if you have these many problems with it, why do you keep participating? You're just throwing wood on the fire, just letting it
Yeah.
continue to go instead of actually doing something active about it. Like, what the hell is a social media post going to do?
Yeah.
What's a post on Instagram going to do for any of this? It's just a way to get, like, dude, they got a lot of likes. They got 41,000 likes on this. Do you actually think, and I could be being cynical right now too, do we actually think that they give a shit if any of this stuff really happens?
No.
I mean, that's my honest opinion. I don't think that Brett or any of them actually give a shit if they're listening or not. They're like, this is a really good opportunity and I'm going to take it. That's how I view this.
I think they care if they listen. Yes. I'm interested to see what happens if they don't.
Yeah. Nothing.
Because if they don't and you just continue on competing again, you have no backbone. You have no stance. So shut up.
Dude, they've already proven they don't have backbone.
I know.
They've already proven that they're too pussy to take action. They've been saying that they've been asking for years for change. You've been asking for years for change and you haven't done, as Jason would say, at 3, 2, 1, go, stood on the line. You've been asking for change for this many years and you haven't done shit about it. Think about
They
it.
could have all done it like to that point at the games. Why couldn't they all agree at 3, 2, 1, go? We're just going to stand. Every single one of us
Yes.
is going to stand here for a minute. It won't affect anybody's score. Will the scores be slower than what normally would be? Yeah. But if we can all agree, we're going to stand here for a minute or 30 seconds or whatever for that moment of silence, and then we're going, that would have been great. It would have
Yeah.
said something.
I'm
But
going to say something. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
you got half the people or 3/4 or 90% of the people that are, well, I'm here to compete. I'm going.
Yeah.
And then afterwards they're complaining and their CrossFit doesn't listen. And it's like, no, you can't. You can't do it after the fact.
Yeah. I'm going to say something that's probably going to be frowned upon and sounds super controversial to people, right? But it's my opinion that in sports like these, it's you will never get everyone to do that. Because
No.
and the only reason is because to do a sport like this, to do a sport like bodybuilding, those are the two specific sports, CrossFit and bodybuilding. It takes very self-righteous, self-serving people to do these sports. And I think that most people are too into themselves and too into the outcomes that they will produce to actually agree to move forward as a group. Because unless you're a team athlete, maybe it's a little bit different then. But definitely the individuals, right? Like, they're not going to trust that the next guy isn't going to serve himself. Why?
Yeah.
Because
if they all agreed, somebody was going to go take off.
Exactly. Yes. And
For
it's
sure.
because they know that they would take off.
Yeah.
You know, it's not because like yeah, it's just crazy, dude. It's crazy to me. I
And I saw Jason's comment. If anyone skimped, it was not Dave. It was Don Fall. He sets budgets, not Dave. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to the money side, I agree.
Don Fall
This
is the
is
CEO.
this is more of a matter of if somebody if they did have a consultant and they said you need 12 people in the water, and Dave said, nah, we only need 8. These are elite athletes. They'll be fine. So if it was something like that, then could it fall on Dave? Sure.
I guess we'll
Again,
see.
nobody knows.
Yeah, dude.
And
I guess we'll see.
my hope for everyone involved is that's not the case. I mean, for Lazar's family, for CrossFit, for the athletes, for the fans, that is my hope, that somebody didn't skimp and it was just a fucking accident. And in hindsight, it sucks.
Yeah.
But we now know. I mean, shit, Iron Man's got every damn official in place from what I hear. Like every swimmer has somebody with them and people die.
So, dude, yeah, I mean, I think it's like 60 people a year die on average from Ironman. And one of the arguments,
Are they getting tired of going through CEOs at Iron Man because so many people die? Don't we have to kick somebody out and fucking get rid of them? That sucks.
that does suck. They probably.
And I'm sorry to make jokes about it, but it's like people got to freaking turn your brain on.
I mean, dude, I guess, yeah, like going back to what we were saying, like way earlier, the thing that Paulina says a guy passed away at the first Ironman I did. Actually, hey, check this out.
Paulina pushed him down.
Paulina probably did. That's why you were seeing the light, Paulina. That's why you saw the light. Just kidding. That's foul of us. Not funny enough, but interestingly enough, the first CrossFit competition that I ever did, somebody had a heart attack and died at. And do you know what happened?
They kept moving.
It kept going.
It kept going.
The ambulance came and we were still in an event. Like I was working out in an event while the ambulance came and took this guy on a stretcher, and he died in the ambulance on the way. We all found out, and the competition kept going. I know that I'm not quite a games athlete yet, right? I know I'm not quite.
You're getting there. But you hate CrossFit, so
yeah, but I hate CrossFit. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. John Ortega says, and rightfully so. I don't know what that was too.
That was, and I agree with him. And the comment I said about Dave, if they said if somebody recommended 12 paddleboarders, Dave said no, we only need 5. You know, if a protocol was set and they didn't follow it.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, of course. I don't think anybody's arguing against that, right? Now I have a
lot of people are arguing it because they think he should be fired now without knowing.
Oh yeah, well that way, yeah. I mean the people who don't want to take action right away are not going to argue against if Dave did, say, hey, forget the safety to not fire him. Like I think everybody would agree that if he didn't follow the safety protocols, like get rid of him. But I have a question for you real quick. Why are people so attached to Dave Castro?
Like I said, he's the glue that's holding everything together right now.
But why?
On the CrossFit side.
Why?
Because he's been there from the beginning.
Okay.
I mean, he is OG of OGs when it comes to CrossFit. He invented the games. I mean, it was his idea. Other than that, I don't know.
So because I've been talking to Heather about this, dude. The argument that Taylor Self and I like had a little spat with each other. This is something really interesting and exclusive to John Ortega. He created the sport. It's like saying, why do we love Stanley? I didn't know that Dave Castro created the sport, by the way. So always assume that I have no idea when it comes to CrossFit. I just enjoy doing it.
He doesn't know a lot, Jonathan. When it comes to CrossFit, he seriously doesn't.
Yeah, because I just enjoy doing it. And with any sport that I enjoy, I just want to enjoy the sport. Like I just want to enjoy doing the thing. Like I do MMA. Like I do Muay Thai kickboxing. I don't know shit about any of the athletes. I just like to do it. So but anyway, so this is something that's exclusive and interesting about CrossFit is that I've been talking to Heather about this because I've been losing my mind over the conversation or I haven't been losing my mind. I did lose my mind a little bit over the Taylor Self thing because I'm like, I don't know, these things don't make sense, but they only make sense to CrossFitters, like the things that CrossFitters say. Because
Mhm.
I've talked to other people outside of CrossFit, about a lot of these same topics, and it doesn't make sense to anyone, dude. It just seems to make sense to you guys, right? You guys. Sorry.
You people.
You people.
What do you mean, you people?
Yeah, right. You CrossFitters, you scum. No, I'm just kidding. I get that he like created the sport, but does he do anything like what is it about Dave? Like I get it. You guys love him, but why does he have to be involved? Is my question. And I asked Heather that. Like I get it. Now I get it. He created the sport, all this stuff. He's an OG, but why is it a must that he's involved? Why do people feel so passionately about that? Because
he's been there from the beginning. He's literally been involved in, or the director of every single games except one.
But I'm hearing like that people think it will crumble without him. And my question is like, okay, I hear you on that, right? But like Kobe Bryant died, right? And everybody loved Kobe Bryant. And so like he's definitely not the director of the NBA, but I'm sure the NBA has, a lot of movement in terms of CEOs and, like employees just in general, people that like put on the games and all this stuff. Why is it that in CrossFit people are so tied to Dave has to be there or it's going to die?
I'll liken it to something you might be able to relate to.
Okay.
Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah.
Ollie leaves. They get a new singer.
I'd probably be like, that band is gay.
Exactly. It's the same type of thing. Like any band, they replace X members. Like, oh yeah, it's them, but it's not them.
But it's not them. Yeah. But over time,
it's just been the staple.
But over time, do you think that it could still be CrossFit? Or would it have to be something else?
The CrossFit, the sport, and CrossFit are a completely different thing.
I agree with you.
They're very different.
I agree with you, but the world doesn't know that. So that's where I'm coming from. And I even think that the sport of CrossFit and CrossFit HQ are different as well and have different missions. I think that there's the trinity of CrossFit. I think there's 3 things to CrossFit, right? And I don't even think that like CrossFitters realize that.
Mm-hmm. I've wondered for probably 2 years now how with the changes at the base level of CrossFit HQ, what has kept Dave on board? Because it's such a different company than it used to be.
Yep.
It's almost baffled me that he has stayed. And
why?
this could be a major test as to, does he stay or does he go? Because of the leadership changes and the business side of it that has changed so much over the years. It's a very different company from when Greg owned it.
Yeah, I'm starting to. So, per that live that I listened to of Savan and Greg today, I'm starting to realize that too. That Dave or not Dave. Greg seemed to be more like people forward rather than money focused.
Right.
And that seemed to be
the money would come if you focused on the people. He wasn't worried about it.
Right.
Like, if we do everything right, it'll come.
Yeah.
There was not a focus on money.
So he said that like there was somebody too that was in his ear telling him that he's losing a bunch of money, like billions of dollars, because he didn't do supplements and he didn't do equipment and all that stuff. And my views on Greg. I think that he's the smartest guy, not even for any like weird genius, but I think that he's the smartest guy ever because he literally trademarked a form of exercising that you can call anything CrossFit.
Exactly.
And that's
he branded it.
Yeah, exactly. Which is like the smartest thing ever because I got sent a cease and desist for using CrossFit hashtags, dude, a while back. And I know like people who got cease and desist in my area for having gyms that resembled CrossFit gyms and that did similar workouts. Like he was really smart for that. Yep. Jonathan Ortega says he stayed because it's his baby and passion and probably wants to go out on his own terms. Do we think that that's what's going to happen? Do you think that he'll make the first form? Jason goes, Dave isn't a player. He's a creator. That's a good way to put it.
I honestly don't know what's going to happen. With the current state of HQ, I don't know if they have the backbone to stand up for Dave. So I don't know what's going to happen. It's weird. It's just a weird time right now.
Yeah. So, man, dude, there's so many things that I could say because
You have a client coming in 3 minutes.
no, she texted me she's gonna be super late.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, so we can stay
Because
on
she's
for a
watching
little
this
bit longer.
podcast.
She might be. She's like, I need to listen to the counterculture with Travis.
Right.
Um, there's so many interesting things about. Are you cool to stay on for a couple more minutes?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. There's so many things that I could say about that weekend because what's interesting to me, again, there's so many interesting aspects of CrossFit because it resembles kind of Scientology in a way.
Mm-hmm.
To me,
Called for a reason.
oh my gosh, but dude, legitimately, this past weekend I realized why, or 2 weekends ago, I realized why people call it a cult. And then talking with Taylor Self too, I'm like, I understand why it's a cult. Like, I understand. Like, I actually get it, you know. And by the way, I really like Taylor because I like any man that talks with conviction and that's willing to stand 10 toes down on his shit. I don't have to agree with you. We can argue about it, but like, I respect you as a man if you can just sit there and be like, even if I think you're wrong, you can be like, no, I'm right, and this is why, and I don't care, you know. So I respect him. But talking to him and the weekend of the games really made me realize why people call it a cult, and it's because, and this isn't a bad thing, but everyone, dude, at the games, you could just feel it. You could feel it. Do you remember? Like just the
It was
vibe.
heavy.
Yeah, it was heavy.
First day was super like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should be here.
I don't know if I should smile.
Each day it got better,
Yeah.
which was nice to see.
And it was so weird to talk about the virtue signaling. It was so freaking weird, bro, to see that athletes couldn't post shit about like good things from that weekend without getting any sort of fire. People were getting mad that athletes weren't saying anything about it or posting the donation like link or anything like that. People got mad that athletes still wanted to compete. It's just so, and that's the weird thing that's like infecting CrossFit right now.
Mm-hmm.
And to be like devil's advocate for the athletes, it's like, and I don't think that we should be athlete forward with this that much, but to be devil's advocate for them, it's almost weird that the public thinks that they're owed things from the athlete.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
And they do. It's sad. I mean, there was somebody had gotten mad. I think it was Ricky or somebody like did a fist pump at the end of one, you know, super excited, and people were like, "How could you?"
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
I remember one day I was going back and forth for not posting one of the vlogs. And I still have the vlog uploaded on my phone just in case like I want to post it. I remember though feeling like this weird pressure, which is not something that I ever feel, right? I never feel this, but I felt like this weird pressure, like don't post anything because of the mob, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And but at the end of the day, I made the choice because I did feel just weird about posting, about having a good time. So I didn't post it. But I think it's weird that you have to have that pressure that like you couldn't have had a good time even though a tragedy happened.
Yeah.
Right? Because like it had nothing to do with like we were together, you know, you, me, Roderick, Domo, you know, Roderick's wife, like Heather, my girlfriend, we were all together, and it's like that was fun. It was a good time. Like I had
a great time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna pretend like I didn't have fun. You know, and so, but it was weird. Jonathan Ortega says, I still haven't posted anything from the games. Why not? Jason says, I got 4 cease and desists.
I got one.
Yeah. Have you?
From CrossFit. Yeah.
Oh,
when I did, when Noble made their shirts with Greg's quote on it and didn't give Greg attribution for the quote about the I can't think of the whole thing, but it said the fun is in the community at the end of it, and they didn't attribute Greg on it. So I made a shirt with Greg's quote and gave him attribution on it. And I double checked with Greg to make sure he said it.
Yeah.
Got the okay from him. So I made the shirt, and about a month later, I got a cease and desist from CrossFit saying they own those words because it was on their, because when Greg originally said it, it was on their Twitter account. It was on the CrossFit Twitter account. So CrossFit owns that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool of them.
I'm on that cool list.
That's pretty cool. No, that's so weak, dude.
And then the funny thing is like I was making the stink about it, and I was talking to Sevan about it. He's like, yeah, Greg probably would have done the same thing. I was like, you're right, he would have.
Yeah, dude.
Because that's what they did. They protected the brand. They didn't want people using the name that aren't associated. Smart business.
It is smart business. That makes sense for sure. Well, dude, yeah, I don't really know. I don't know about this this PFAA thing. I think it sounds pretty stupid, to be honest with you. I'll just, to recap real quick, it's not that I disagree with what the PFAA like wants or their mission statement or anything like that. I just think it's really corny that Brett and Pat like decided to compete. Brett almost won. You know, he competed that hard, and then he leaves the weekend without the first place or whatever. And it's not about the placing. He obviously didn't do it just because he didn't get first place. That would be really whack if he did that.
Right.
But I don't agree with, like, if you had all these concerns from the jump, you've been talking to them for years, why haven't you voted with your action or your dollars up until now? And now that something happened, you still competed throughout the whole weekend. Now suddenly you want to come at them. I think that that's super whack, and it doesn't deserve any respect, personally.
Yeah, I agree. 100% athlete safety.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Same. Yep. Athletes first. They're the ones that make the money for the thing.
Yeah. But don't compete if you don't feel safe. That's the only way anything's going to happen.
Totally. Sweet, dude. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you hopping on live with me, dude.
Glad we got it to work.
Yeah.
Now that you know it, next time I'll make sure my headphones are charged.
Yeah, dude. We should go live again next week.
Let's do it. Maybe we'll have some new information.
Yeah, hopefully. I think
everybody's going live this week. It's funny. It's funny how many people have gone live this week all of a sudden when these hot takes come up and they see how it affects their views. Everybody goes live.
Interestingly enough, right?
Uh-huh.
We'll see how it affects this channel. We'll get there. We're getting
most views ever.
Most views ever.
Especially the first 15 minutes of.
Oh, dude, now I have to go cut that out. Oh, gross. That YouTube editor is a son of a bitch, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like it. All right. Well, cool, man. If anything else pops up, if you want to do a last minute pod this week or something, let's go for it.
Sounds good,
dude. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thanks, Travis, to popping on here, and hope you guys got something from it. Talk soon.
See ya.
Later, brother.